quick. Hey everybody, welcome to Kats Creations live on Friday night. It is Friday, the last day of January for 2020. Wow, January 31st. So my name is Kat. I welcome you to my kitchen where we're going to create a spring floral welcome wreath, which could be a wide variety of different uses. You could use it for Easter, you could use it for Mother's Day, bridal shower, housewarming gift, whatever. So let's see. I'm like trying to establish some beginning thing as Steve's adjusting the camera. So hopefully, number one, if we have any broadcast interruptions, we're hoping that we have remedied that problem, but if we do, and it freezes too long, we will immediately log off and attempt to reboot back on. That has kind of happened for the last 3 consecutive Fridays, so let's just pray that this has all remedied itself. So it's all going to be Deco mesh. We're going to be using some lilies. I'm like looking yellow and green tulips, some daffodils, and maybe some Queen Anne's lace. God, it feels like forever since we've worked with florals. So we're going to be using 3 different colors of Deco mesh, white, a moss green, and then a pale yellow, to kind of keep in conjunction with our sign, which is this welcome sign. It's a 12 by 16 from 3 Birds Nest. So before we go ahead and start the process, are we good? Do we have people joining?
Yeah, so so far we've got Barb, Gail, Kim, Maricel, Daisy, Judy, Jane, Connie, Karen, and more are still funneling.
Jenny, okay.
Yeah.
So perfect. So if this is your first time, I want to welcome you to my video, my page. If you're watching this on YouTube, it is a replay, but you can always feel free to comment below, and I generally check those comments pretty much through the week, and will reply back to any comments that you guys have. If you are interested in joining my private group, I'm just going to get all the informational stuff done. It's $17 a month. It includes 4 business classes plus 4 additional creative tutorials on the creative side. So you get a total of 8 for $17 a month, and then you can join at KatsCreationsNMore.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom. There will be a link there to sign up for the reoccurring payment, as well as to request to join the Facebook group. There are 2 steps, so make sure you do them both. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to wire up the last section of a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame. For those of you that have been with me since 2017, this is old school, but you never know because there's always new people joining. So 6 sections in a Dollar Tree wreath frame. I've done the first 5, so we're doing the last one. And so what you want to do is take your pipe cleaner, you're going to wire together the 2 inner rails. So you're going to use the weld marks where it's welded to the frame as your middle ground and kind of come up with a midway point for your 2 innermost ones. And then we're going to wire the 2 outer ones together, 2 of them in each section. Again, using the weld mark and then our center as a midway point. So I'm just going to do it here fairly quickly, and then we'll be ready to go and start putting our Deco mesh in. So
Tony said, "Love your haircut, Kat."
I know I chopped off all of my hair. You know, the one thing you notice is as you get older, you may grow your hair long, but when it gets super long, number one, it takes all the style out of your hair. So if you style it in the morning, it goes flat by the end of the day. And my hair is roughly thin anyway, so it just starts to look pretty scraggly. So I was like, I don't want to be one of the people who are like, you need to cut your hair. You're kind of older, you need to have a more established hairstyle. So it is so much easier to do now. So thank you for that.
And hi everyone just joining.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to do a combo. What? Oh yeah. Don't forget, because I always forget this. Steve reminds me. Because we're on the Friday nights, you guys are welcome to share the video so that it's easier to find rather than trying to dig through my page and find this video again. If you share it to your page, it stays on your home page, and then that way it's easy for you if you need it for reference. And feel free to like the page if you like what we're doing tonight. So we're going to start with, this is all 10-inch Deco mesh. The white is cut to, I had to think about this because I had changed it twice. It's cut to 20-inch pieces, and we're going to do a solid white base initially. So those of you that are in my private group and you got the color clash, you'll kind of understand what we're doing in trying to keep things lighter. So we're just going to do a basic ruffle technique. I know, shocker, right? No ruffles. And you can tell that I've kind of already played with a couple pieces, and that's necessary for me when I do a mock-up to decide how full I want to do it, what method, how long, how wide, what do I want to kind of coordinate, does those colors even match? So we're going to go ahead and do this in here pretty quick and get this going through all 18 pipe cleaners, which is 6 on the inside, 12 on the outside. And when I do it, I just kind of go to the next pipe cleaner. I don't do like all the inside and then go back and do all the outside. Sometimes I have a tendency of skipping 1 or 2 if I do that. So doing them as they come up should remind me that I'm going to go like to the outside 1 up, to the outside 1 up. So if I can remember. And this is a great time for you guys to ask any questions you have. All the Deco mesh today that I am using came from Craft Outlet. And Craft Outlet you can purchase from online. You don't need to be a, you don't have to have a business license. They sell to the general public. So what questions do you guys have? So I'm just laying in a very light base, if any.
And I'm gonna try not to talk tonight.
Steve's gonna minimize. He's coming down with the world's worst cold, and then he's got to travel next week. So it's not a good thing. So I think it helps him. I probably should have just grabbed my tablet, and then I could have looked at questions and helped you out a little bit more. So our goal is just to get our base laid in and thicken it up.
June asked how you keep the edges from fraying.
Cut it with a wood burning tool. So all of this that I'm using tonight was able to be cut with the wood burning tool, and that helps minimize your fraying by about, for me, it's about 95%. I mean, it really dramatically reduces the amount of fraying, and I'll show you what I have left once we get all the Deco mesh in and it's all laid down. So this is a white with an iridescent thin foil through it, so it kind of has that little sparkle to it. I always try to get it to lay flat so that it's easier to ruffle and I don't have to keep re-stretching it back out. This way it comes to you quicker.
Fred asked why the different color pipe cleaners.
For me, it's just color coordinating the colors I'm doing tonight. So just white, yellow, and green. It just kind of goes with the theme. Kind of makes it look like it was intentional. Most of the time it's to help color coordinate, like if I'm doing 3 different colored Deco mesh, it's to help keep me focused on making sure there's at least 1 color in every section. But I wasn't sure. Initially, my thought process in doing this design was I was going to do 1 each of the yellow, the green, and white. And then the yellow is pretty thin. I wanted to thicken it up, but I didn't want to go totally yellow, like lemonade yellow. So I decided let's just do a white base and then we'll pop green and yellow on top of the white instead. So that's why there's like, was this 20? How was I cutting this? So yeah, but great question. Sometimes it just looks nicer.
Jane said these colors make me happy.
Don't they? It does, like green and yellow. And I hardly ever do any green and yellow. Because when I went to grab yellow or grab ribbon, I was so limited in my choices. I was like, wow, I really do not have an awful lot of green and yellow. I bought a lot for St. Patrick's Day as far as the green went, but yellow, no, not very much at all. But it is a happy color. So hopefully it'll make your people feel happy when they see the colors. I liked it. And we're doing all new stuff today. So we're gonna kind of mix it up a little bit. And I'm just trying to keep the pipe cleaners, the ones I use, to the side. That way when I lay another one on top, it's not poking through my Deco mesh. Let me move these out of the way. That way they're not getting stuck in everything else. So this is what you guys voted on when we did the poll about 2 weeks ago, and I said, did you want to do an Easter or spring wreath? And you guys said spring. So this is our spring, because last Friday we did Mardi Gras, to get caught up on Mardi Gras. Yeah. Wait.
So Jean, that's correct. She puts the finished edges of her ruffles facing the outside and the inside.
Yes.
So the sides, which are the sides that are cut, are on each side. That way it'll keep the edges from fraying as much.
Yeah. Occasionally, like right now, I'm starting to see one, but that's like the edge. So it's usually that finished edge that sometimes will have a thread that comes loose. So you just cut that off. There's not much you can do. Sometimes it's just how they roll it on the spool, that they have like a loose thread up here. But yeah, I put all my finished edges to the inside and to the bottom, because that's where most people are going to touch it, is along the bottom.
And then Heidi asked, are you using a work wreath?
No, this is just
your own work wreath.
Yeah, I did. This is a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame. So especially now with the fact that shipping is kind of taking a jump, it's kind of good if you can find ways to still deliver a good quality product, but also look at reducing costs. So this helps, because a standard work wreath with the tinsel ties already added is about anywhere between $4.99 and $5.99, depending on where you get it, and if you can use a coupon or not. And then now, the one thing that you know as a wreath maker, size is going to be an issue. So you want to keep your sizes under 24 to 26 inches if possible. So sometimes using a bigger wire work frame that's already pre-done can cause you to go a little bigger, and then that becomes a bigger cost side for you and for the customer who has to purchase that. So this helps keep my size.
June asked, is this a polyester Deco mesh?
This is a poly Deco mesh. So yeah, you can tell the people who have gone through the class now understand the different types of Deco mesh, because we talked about that in our last Sunday's class. We broke down all the different types of mesh products and burlap products that were out there, so now they have an understanding of what we're using and why we use it.
Heidi asked, do you have a tutorial on how to make your own work wreath? Oh, it's super simple.
Oh yeah, and actually in our private group, that's what we're going to be doing Sunday. Because I was thinking, Sunday, what are we doing Sunday? Yeah, Sunday we're talking about all the different types of work frames that you could potentially use. We're going to be going over looking at size dimensions when you add mesh. How far is that going to push your design out, so that you kind of have an idea ahead of time, roughly what the size should be when it's finished. Oop, we don't want green yet. So I think we have 1, 2, 3. 3 more, and then we can start laying in our green and yellow. But yeah, our beginning class has, I mean, I think our group for the most part has really enjoyed it. We have gone over everything from the basics. We have talked about tools. We have talked about color and understanding color and how color can be a pro and a con for you. It can sometimes create the biggest nightmare for a wreath maker. But we looked at how we can kind of minimize that frustration.
All the different types of deco mesh.
Yeah, we went through deco mesh this last week, and then this week we're going through frames, which are either the wire work frame, wiring one, different types of wiring that you can do depending upon the technique. And then next Sunday, which is what most people are looking forward to, is we are starting over again with base deco mesh types. So we will be working one base at a time, and then we'll have about 5 or 6 bases complete, and then we'll go back as we take the next step and finish creating those. So you should have 2 or 6 great designs by the time we're done.
Hi gals, it's Jordan. Hi Deborah. Hi Karen. Mary asked, in using your white mesh, I had a friend, Ellie, asked me how much deco mesh does it take to go around the wire frame?
It depends on your measurements. So generally, on a 30-foot roll of deco mesh, if the max you can go on an 18 pipe cleaners is 20 inches, and that will use up an entire roll. So like right now, this would have used the entire roll of the white iridescent deco mesh. If you go less, then obviously you're going to have some leftover. Maybe you might have enough, like I said, depending upon how big or how wide you cut your deco mesh will determine how much you have left. Basically, it's what, 360, is it 360 feet?
Yeah, 360 inches.
Or inches, right. Yikes. That'd be a great roll for deco mesh. 360 feet. Okay. So as you can see, this is a very light base. So using a base deco mesh like this provides you minimal coverage. You can still kind of see the frame, but it's also light enough that if you want to pop another color on top of it, it should being the key word, it should lighten it without making it a little too dark. So what I want to do now is take this moss metallic green, again from Craft Outlet, and we're going to actually just lay this right on top of our white, and this is cut to 13-inch pieces. Why 13 and not 20 is I don't want to lose all the effect of the white, and I don't want to smother the like yellow and green all over the mesh. I still want to see white coming through.
And then Katrina said, thoroughly enjoy the classes, well worth the money. Thank you, Katrina.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Rosemary asked, is that beginning class part of your private group?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So in January, we start all over again. So it's perfect for people to jump in. It's great if you're just starting and maybe you've been doing, like when I started, all I did was grapevines and evergreens. I didn't know anything about deco mesh. So this was a really good chance to take 3 years of experience, break it down and say, this is what I've learned. This would be the normal stage to build on for a new person.
And even gals who are, I would say,
doing it for a while.
Well, hitting retirement, right? If they just want to learn how to do all these different techniques, but they don't necessarily want to sell,
right? Then
it's a great class to get into.
Yep. Because we go slower than like what we go through tonight. So you can see I'm just going around the outer 12 first so that I can get that, what is it, green yellow all the way around, and then I'll go and I'll pop those colors back on the inside. So I'm just alternating, and this is a super light iridescent yellow. If you guys have noticed on Craft Outlet and some of the other places, they don't really have a good quality yellow that's just by itself anymore, which is odd. So it makes me think that the couple rolls that I do have left from back in the day are worth something. So We're just alternating the two. Like I said, again, these are cut to 13-inch pieces. Cut with a wood burning tool.
So the green and the yellow are cut to 13
inches. And I cut 9 of each color. That fills my 18 pipe cleaners. So 9 green, 9 yellow. And then you have enough. So my goal is always make sure you grab your pipe cleaners, pull them together, 'cause they just have a tendency of winding up in the weirdest places when you're laying other color on top. And we're ruffling this one the same. So again, putting the cut edges to the side, finished edges to the top and the bottom. And then I'm just lightly opening the yellows and the green and kind of popping those. Just kind of pulling them back up. Because when we laid them in, we just kind of almost pancake them on top of each other. This will be very... Now I'm looking at this, it reminds me of citrus. Lemon lime. Like lemons and limes. This would be a really good base for a citrus, like a lemon and lime wreath. Or a lemonade one. Right? Okay. And I'm not opening my pipe cleaners back up. I'm just laying these back on top of where I added the white. So I just go grab my white from down in the centers and just kind of fluff that. And we're grabbing yellow and a green. Do you guys like the color combination so far? We could have taken this in a couple different directions. There's so many different types of deco mesh out there that you could have used. You could have gotten just the white and the yellow already mixed. But that had a tendency of being a little too dark for me. I wanted it really soft yellow. Like a pastel yellow. And then this will also thicken up our base and help cover that a little bit more. What's up?
So Rosemary asked, how do you purchase the classes? I just pinned your website.
Okay, yeah, just click on the link that Steve posted there for you. You'll scroll all the way to the bottom because you'll get to my website, and the website will just start listing everything that's for sale. So just scroll all the way to the bottom, and when you get to the very bottom, you'll see it'll say join Kats Creations private group, and then it automatically has a big bar that says join the Facebook group. But most people don't look for the other little part that says, it starts to describe to you what you get, and then it kind of runs out of words, but there's a hyperlink that says see more. If you click on the see more, it'll open up everything and tell you exactly what you get. You get discounts from our vendors we have accounts with, so if you're a member, you get a discount code that you can use, because we all like saving money. You get detailed materials lists. Like tonight, you would have pretty much a shopping list to take and then go online and be able to purchase all the products you're seeing me use tonight, as long as they're still available.
Yep. Debbie said, like the yellow and green. Brenda, hey Brenda, said pretty. June said yes, kind of said beautiful colors. And then Rosemary said awesome, thanks.
You're welcome.
And then Cindy, yes, she, on this type of deco mesh, she always uses the wood burning tool.
Yes. So, and then that's something else you can learn in the class, that we went over all the different type of mesh. We went over burlap, we went over jute mesh, we went over fabric mesh, we went over the poly jute mesh, we went over, I'm trying to think of what the other one is, the kind that's kind of rubbery. No, it's, I think it's a poly, I want to say it's a poly burlap. It's where they take polypropylene and coat the burlap in plastic. So we learn, and we cut all those pieces up, and we looked at, you know, does it fray, does it not fray, what can we use? So I thought it was a good class.
And then Deborah Rupert asked, how much is your group?
$17 a month. So you get business classes. The business classes are every Monday, and we just started beginning business classes. So we've been going over Facebook business pages. So for people who want to get those up and going, we have been like literally going step by step in how to do that. Okay, I'm done with the outside, so I'm just gonna do those 3 on the inside, or the 6 on the inside, 3 of each color. But the tutorials are available for you guys. As long as you're a current member, you have access to the entire library. So you can watch those videos as many times as you'd like. You get, and you can go back and look at all the other ones that we've done for the last 2 years that are all in there as well.
And then Maggie, no, she just cuts the mesh with the wood burning tool right here on our kitchen counter.
Yep.
It cuts very easily. No, there's no fumes when you cut it with the regular Deco mesh.
Well, we use pretty good.
We have the windows open. We get a pretty good
Yeah,
ventilation.
this window, that window, and then our front door, so we get a really good breezeway. And I'm not cutting it for too long of a period of time, so I can get through those, 18 pieces fairly quick.
Thank you, gals. A lot of gals are saying, Barbara said it's a great class. Shirley said a true value for the money. Thank you, gals.
Absolutely. So, lemon lime. This would be the perfect wreath for Sprite, right?
Ha ha ha
Ha ha ha. Can't use that trademark term. But you could do a citrus one.
Yeah. And even the wreath that's on her door right now is also for sale. She did that last year at the very end of the year, or end of the season right before Easter, and it just didn't sell. So that one's also for sale.
I think it's been a huge learning curve. You learn when to list things. So sometimes you catch things right at the tail end of a season, and if that's all you're doing year round is catching, you're like always the last person who's jumped in and started creating for the season. A lot of times you end up sitting on your designs because you started too late.
Yep, Darlene. She just reminded, make sure you use the tempered glass, not just your countertop when you burn the mesh. Yeah, you always want to use the tempered glass board. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I've learned that. Oh, I've learned it on my smaller mat, not my bigger mat. I think I've done it once on my bigger mat, my old mat.
Wilhelmine said, absolutely love that sign. It is a pretty sign.
It really is. So the sign came from Three Birds Nest Co. So it's all smushed together in Etsy. That's where the sign came from. It's a 12 by 6. So I'm trying to get these last ones in. I think I have 2 more. Yep, a yellow and a green. So we're just spinning.
Teresa said, well, that's what I thought as well, a Sprite wreath.
That's right, right?
Yeah.
Lemon and lime.
Judy, thank you. She said, you really learn a lot in the classes. Barb said, I'm so happy I joined your private group. I learned so much. Kat's a great teacher.
Oh, thanks, Barb.
And hi, Sherry. She said, I'm finally back after moving.
After moving. I think that's everybody. Does anyone like moving?
No.
Because
I only like it when other people move me. I don't have to do
right.
it.
When you're when you can afford to pay someone to do it for you, or you have kids.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed as we start getting older. We're like, wow, if we move, I mean, our kids are all off and living their own life. It's like, who's gonna move us? Either A, we have to hire people, or we have to pay our kids, bribe them somehow. You know, hey, come help mom and dad. Remember us when you were moving out and we helped you?
Yep.
So, last one. And then I'll show you the workspace underneath. I mean, I have a couple pieces that I'm looking at. Here's that end piece that just kind of came separated. But let me pull my pipe cleaners down.
Thanks, Wilhelmine. She said, love the private group. It's fabulous.
Thank you. So that is our base. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a bow for this. So then that helps us determine where our sign placement's going to be. So I'm going to kind of set this aside, and I'm going to grab all of our ribbon for this design, which, oh, here it is. We're going to do this 2.5 green and white because it kind of goes along with our colors. I think I'm going to do this, it's not a sheer, it's not a satin, but it kind of feels that way. Green, then I'm looking at how do I want to break it up, because I went and I found this one at the very, very end, because I originally just had, I think, was it this one? And this one's a light tinsel strength, so I'm not trying to break up the colors right now, because it's like, I think I'm going to do this one on the bottom, then this one. Usually the ones that are a little thinner on the tinsel strength, but this one's pretty light. So I just like to put those on the bottom. And you guys know me, I'm all about finding the pretty to put on the top, so we'll try it. We'll see if it works. So I'm going to grab my Bodabra, and I'm going to do the standard, what I call a cat bow, because the dimensions are all the same for all of it. And yes, this is wired, just in case you guys are looking at it going, wow, it doesn't look wired, it looks satiny. It just has a very thin tensile strength, which means it's probably like a 30 gauge wire. So I'm just going to cut this off because it's looking a little too fuzzy for me. And we'll do our dovetail cut first of all. So we're just going to take our wired edges together, and we're going to cut from the fold right to our point. I'm going to take these pieces.
Marie asked, I'm having trouble with biting my, I'm assuming it's pipe cleaners on the wreath. Any tips you could give me? Don't tie your pipe cleaners to just one form or one frame.
You gotta do it two. Yeah, and be pretty firm about it, but not overly. You don't have to like wrench it on there because you don't want to break the welds. So I'm doing a 10-inch tail and a 5.5, it's almost 6, 5.5 inch loop on this one. So I'm just going to do one on each side, both 5.5. So I'm taking my bow jobber, I'm putting it right along the 10 so that I can pull this out and measure and make sure that I'm getting to, here it looks like 4.5 inches, but it's 5.5. And then I will pull this out so that I have 10 inches on this end. Put my dovetail. So this is a handy tip. So if you have bow material like this where it's very thin, the wire is very, very thin, it just kind of just is like almost like a limp type of ribbon. Put those towards the bottom because then they can just lay on the wreath. They don't have to have any strength to hold any of the other ribbon up. And I'm going to do the same thing on here. Cut that down, and this is going to be 9.5 inches. So we just, the whole thing with the bow dabber is just twist. So just twist, put it in, and we're doing 5-inch loops. So this one has very thick. This is probably, I want to say 24 or 20.
So you're going down a 1/2 inch with each new ribbon.
Yeah, 1/2 inch on the tail, and for the loop, we're bringing this right down to 5. So we're bringing it a 1/2 inch down on the loops as well. So we did 5.5 loops, 5.5 inch loops on the bottom initially. Okay, this one should have been, let's bring it in. There we go. And then we're going to go to 9.5. Yeah, I want to say the gauge in this wire because you can hear how thick it is. Yeah. Just trying to cut that last one. I want to say it's probably like 22 inch. one back. And then we're gonna do, so where'd they all come from? I'm looking. 1, 2. All of them except for the yellow, cream, and green are all from Craft Outlet, and this came from Hobby Lobby. So it's not a seasonal color, it's a year-round color. So you can find it in the regular section where Hobby Lobby carries their ribbons at. And then we're going to do 9-inch tails. So we'll start that. And then we're going to do 4.5-inch loop for these ones. So 4.5.
Rhonda asked, did you say you were doing all the loops the same size? No. No, she's bringing them in.
Half-inch?
Half-inch, yeah.
So bottom one is 5.5-inch, 5, 4.5. And then, believe it or not, I leave the first 2 1.5 the same, and then I go 4 and then 3.5. But always bringing my tails in 1/2 inch each time. So it just makes for a really good full ribbon that looks good. You always use 2 2.5, and then 4 1.5 ribbon.
So you reduce the bow and the tail size by 1/2 inch each.
Except for the first 2 1.5. Those are exactly the same. So this one was 4.5. The next one's gonna, this one will also be 4.5. Otherwise you get to like a 3-inch, wow, this one's really thick. The ribbon, I think it's painted, is wide. So this is gonna be the exact same. So when you have them both the same inch, you can kind of pull and then put tension on them to make sure they're both the same size, and then bring in whatever you don't need. And then this one, here's the easy way to remember: 10, 9.5,
9.
9, thank you,
8.5.
Is that right? No, 10, 9.5.
No, I thought
9.
9, okay.
Oh wait, why can I not count in halves backwards? 10, 9.5, 9.
And then 9.
9, thank you.
Gotcha.
Wow. So, always putting our little cuts on the end so it looks nice. And then you can decide how deep you want those to go. What does this one feel?
Kimberly said, I just learned a new trick.
What's that?
I like how you turn.
Oh, my
bow down.
Bodabra?
Yeah.
I don't know why I started doing that. People go,
I see why, because you keep the ribbon on one side, so you don't have to.
So it doesn't
the
get all
ribbon.
twisted and it falls over on the floor.
Right.
It's just something that I started doing,
Yeah.
and I don't know. People always thought that I was left-handed because I always built from the left side, and I'm like, it's not really. It's just,
You don't have to flip the ribbon.
yeah.
You just turn the bow.
I just leave that here, and the ribbon just comes off on its own. So this one will be 8.5. So we'll do 8.5. So here we go. This one's going to be 4 inches. So yeah, I just flip it, and then I'll measure it. And I'll bring this in right there. So once you get your loops the same size, then you don't have that lopsided thing where one of your ribbons is a little bit larger than the other. And
Any other questions, gals?
we're back to 8.5. Yeah, see, my ribbon doesn't roll off the counter. That's probably why I started doing that.
Oh.
I don't know why. I just started doing it. And then everyone asked me, why do I do it? I was like, I don't know. I just started doing it. It's a habit.
Kimberly said, otherwise the ribbon is harder to work with.
It would
And
be.
then she said, I'm a new wreath maker. So awesome.
See, and it would. So I just pull out enough to where I think I have a pretty good, decent amount. And then this is going to be that really thin. See? It doesn't have an awful lot of strength. It's like wimpy ribbon. So So this is going to be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 is where we wind up with this one. And then these are going to be 3.5-inch loops. So this is going to come in quite a bit. So just makes handy to measure. And see, our bow looks like our wreath. It's like Sprite.
Yep. Brenda said loving the colors. And Kimberly, you can also go onto her YouTube channel and go back and see all of her just regular group videos on how to make wreaths and all different types.
How to make bows.
Yep.
I think I have 2 bow making videos on there.
And then she's also got her private group you can join.
Yeah, we'd love to have you join our private group. I was actually shocked. We actually had 3 community members all meet together. They all went out for lunch.
Oh, good.
And so I was like, great, I'm so thrilled. So that's kind of what we have hoped to do, is create creative communities with other people that are close to you. Okay, so we're all set for this one.
And there's another gal who's up in Ontario, Canada area.
I'm looking for, I think I'm gonna grab yellow. So I'm gonna do yellow to hold all this together. So I'm just gonna lift this all up. And then if I hold it like this, it allows me to kind of look, and I can put this right through my stack and keep it kind of pinched until you can get your pipe cleaner around that. I like using pipe cleaners because they're thicker, they're easier to grab onto, they're easier to work with over floral wire. I just like them. So let me do the board, because you guys like the board, because you can see the fluffing. So this is a cutting board. What do we say? Is it 18?
Yeah.
18 by 24 cutting board. It's just a bamboo cutting board. Steve just put a C-hook in it for me. So I'll just take that C-hook and I will put my pipe cleaner right in between, so it'll kind of hold, because I don't have anything long enough to stretch it down. So when you're fluffing a bow, your tails and your loops are going to go in opposite directions. So for example, we have a tail here. So on the same side, our loop's going to go opposite. So here's my loop, here's my tail. On this side, I'm going to grab my loop and I'm going to pull it over here and I'm going to pull my tail across. Now remember, this is that lightweight ribbon that doesn't have a lot of life to it. So it's not going to have a lot to hold it up, which is why we put it on the bottom. But you want to make sure your loops and your tails are complete opposites. And then the next time when we go grab this one, we have a tail over here and a loop, or tail and a loop. We're going to go separate with these. So we're going to bring our tail here and our loop here. Same thing, because we have a loop here, we're going to bring the tail over. Just like that. And we have our loops opposite. Here's the funny little ones that don't have an awful lot of life. And we'll fluff more as we get through there. So now we're just going to follow this one. So tail here, loop opposite side. So we're just going to bring these around. Same thing, we're bringing our loop and our tail, so they're opposite. You can decide how far, like how you want them to fluff as you pull them apart. Here we're following this, so we're going opposites and then opposite. This one's really thick, so it's painted, so it doesn't want to flip. And then we're back here, so we're going to flip, and then loop. Oop, I grabbed it the wrong way. You can always tell if you get 2 tails close together, you're like, oh, I pulled it in the wrong directions. And then last, we went here, so we're going to pull our loop on this side, and we're going to do it here. And then now you get to do all your fluffing and see how you like. Are you liking the way that everything is laying right now? Does it look like it's kind of spread out, kind of full all the way around? And to put your curl back in your ribbon, you just run your fingers through them, and it'll kind of put that nice arc back in it. And ta-da, we're done. Bow's done.
Yeah.
Yay, right? That's that quick. And now I'll just pop it off the hook and put this back. And now we'll go ahead and put it on our wreath. So I'm gonna find a spot in one of the inners. So I'm gonna probably go right here, and I'm gonna get rid of my pipe cleaners right where the ribbon or the bow is gonna sit. So I'm just gonna snip that off, and I'm gonna grab the one just to the side of it and do that one as well. So these are just the inner ones. So I just twist them a couple more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just to make sure they don't come out. And then we'll bend that tip back in. So now we have a nice home for our bow. And now I'm just going to take this. Sometimes you just look at where's this going to fall? Where are most of your tails falling? Because your tails will usually fall towards one side or the other. So spin your bow around to where you have a place to where maybe the tails are more to the side, so that when we add our sign, we don't have tails laying on top of our sign. And we don't want to pull too hard, because otherwise we'll pull that bow right down to the bottom of the frame, and all that fluffing we did is kind of pointless. Okay. Let's see if we can break these ones up a bit. Wants to go this way. Okay, so see how I have the tails to the sides and kind of cascading off the back? This way it frees up the center of my wreath. If I needed to, I could just lay one of my loops on top, and then I don't have tails cascading down over the top of my sign. I mean, a little bit, but not so bad that they're gonna like impact the direction of my sign. So I'm going to grab.
Any other questions?
I'm trying to find them. I'll stick them all the way at the bottom. Yes. So this sign has some holes in it, but they're in the corners, and I don't like holes in the corners. Most of the time when I order my signs, I order them without, because I prefer to place my holes on either side. So they're just gonna go, and I have a 1.5 millimeter beadsmith metal hole punches, and it just pops holes in your sign, just like so. And I just kind of give it an extra little kind of going around just to make sure that it's rounds out my hole. Yeah, and it's big enough. This is big enough to where your pipe cleaner won't fit through it.
You could go up to 2 millimeter, but
yeah,
they'll both work.
So I'm going to use white on this one because the ones I have are lime green, and I think that's a little too limey. So we're just going to push these through. So let's push this over here. And it had like 2 pieces of Deco mesh. Out of all that Deco mesh that I put, these were the only 2 frays that I had. And those were just those edges where I was telling you sometimes the finished edges they're not sewn on correctly all the way. So we're going to do this one. And my pipe cleaners are pretty thick. I generally get my pipe cleaners at a wholesaler out here called Shinoda. In a pinch, I get them at Hobby Lobby. So now, I'm gonna look, and I think...
By the way, Gail said 4 more Fridays.
4 more Fridays? Okay. I'm gonna take this one out of the way, this pipe cleaner, because I believe it's going to impact right where my sign's gonna sit. It might even be this one. Let me look. I tried to just get those all done. Yeah. So I'm gonna grab the 2 here. The one to the side and this one. We'll take those out. Don't want it. Let's take this one. Now I'm changing my direction. Usually I like to put the bows in the upper left-hand corner. And I looked at how I was doing it, so technically I've cut all my pipe cleaners off on the inside. I usually leave them until I know that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to do it right about there. So let's go ahead and get this one in.
Glad you're back, Sandra. She said she got kicked out and finally back in.
What?
And shared. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. That helps. Okay. Let's see.
Brenda said that's going to be gorgeous.
I hope so. I had no inspiration this morning. I was like, okay, I know I have to do a floral, but I'm like, I need an inspiration point. So I'm walking around my room looking through all my sign bins, and I'm like, spring. And I want to go grab the Easter stuff out. I'm like, let me look through all the generic everyday stuff that I had. And then I found this one. I was like, this is perfect. This fits the bill for spring floral.
Thank you for sharing, gals. Carolyn,
Thank
Sandra,
you.
thank you for sharing.
Thanks. Okay. Why are you being so stubborn? Probably because I'm trying to put them too far over. Let me bring them over a rail. There we go. There's one. Just trying to feed it through the Deco mesh, it helps. And I don't want to arch it, but kind of helps if you actually hit the rail. I'm like twisting them in the center. I'm like, there's no rail there. It's going to nowhere land. So I'm going to seat that in there. And then I'm going to grab some of my Deco mesh that's right around the edge. And I'm going to pull all those up so that all those really pretty colors all pop. And I'll show you guys what I've got. I'm moving some of these. Okay. You might want to pull it down just a smidge on this side, so hang tight. That's always our thing, right? Sign placement. I just don't want it quite so far under there. So I'm going to pull it up and over. I had a rail there, and I was doing it on one side of the rail, which makes a really good anchor point. So here, it's just going to go down a little further. And then that way I don't have to worry, like, is my sign going to be impacted by one of the tails that might kind of lean over? Because I like it to softly frame them, but not kill it. Okay.
I can feel the benefit.
Can you? Well, that's a good thing.
Brenda said, I'm loving this. Sounds gorgeous.
What do you guys think so far?
Yeah.
So that's that. So now we're going to come in and do something a little bit different for the outside edge. Normally, you guys know I do like tails, half bows. So I definitely want to make sure that we're incorporating a lot of floral in here because I like the play on the sign. So we're going to be adding some lilies, maybe daffodils. It depends on how big they are because these are really big ones. And I'm not sure how much I'm going to like the bright yellow on these, but we'll play with it and see. But I have some white lilies. I have some yellow Queen Anne's lace. And then I have green and yellow tulips. But what I want to do is something a little bit different on the ribbon. And this is how I did my mock-up. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to start here. These are cut to 13-inch pieces. So the 1.5 inches are cut to 13-inch. And we're using those in the same manner we would use
2.5 inch.
the 2.5 inch, right?
Okay.
Because I'm trying to keep this a little lighter, a little bit softer. So I don't want that heavy look of some of the ribbon. And I'm alternating each different color. So we're going a yellow stripe or a green and white stripe with a yellow polka dot. And then we're going to mix that up with the green, yellow, and white plaid.
Thanks, Roseanne. She said, beautiful, love the colors, love watching. You really make them like a pro.
Oh, thank you.
She is a pro.
I think I'm a
Teresa
pro.
said that one move just doesn't want to cooperate for you, does it?
This green, it really doesn't, because I might go back in and add some fabric stiffener to it if it just will not obey, but I think it will. By the time, I think once we get everything else in, it will. So now I'm going to do it's kind of like a diagonal plaid. This is like a yellow and white. So we're just...
And then Eileen said, you put something on the back of the wreath to finish it off.
Nope.
Nope, you don't really have to.
Never have. This way, because there's so many there's 4 different layers or 4 different options the customer has to decide where they want to lay their wreath. They can go thicker or thinner. It just depends on where, what they want to see on their door. So it just gives them 4 hanging options. And then they're good. So I am not opening my Deco mesh. I'm just adding these right to the outside edge and pulling them towards the outside. Kind of like when you were a kid and you made the sun. I'm making sure these ones are not the too long ones. They are, because you grabbed the long ones and moved them.
Yeah. Jane said this is a favorite of all I've seen you do.
Really?
And then Sharon said, hey guys, I made the tulip wreath you had on the door during the Mardi Gras. What a major pain working with the floral pins.
Yeah.
I had trouble getting them to go through the ribbon, which is used to wrap the form.
It depends on how thick your ribbon is. So I usually look for something that's kind of thin, like that green satin stuff or this plaid would have been really great. I don't use a heavy canvas,
right.
like
You
a heavy duty cotton.
Ribbon.
Yeah. Yep. It's like one of those life lessons you figure out as you're going along. And you're like, oh yeah, we would never want to do that. Like this would be perfect because the pins would go right through it. But like this green, it'd be a challenge, especially when you wrap the form. But you did it.
Kimberly, she can explain more. She said, I don't understand the 4 hanging options.
Oh.
The 4 hanging options, you could use like a wreath hanger, you could use a screw, you could use a hook.
2, 3, 4.
Right,
So
there's
some
4
people
different
have
layers.
an actual, like, I have one here on my door, like this. So you have an option in a case like this. Let me put this over here. That if you wanted to, depending upon where you want it to position on the board, you could come in with your wreath hanger and go here, you could here, or to the outside. So it's entirely up to you. They have 4 different options of how they want that position on their door. If they have a really long door, like some people have a super huge long door, they might want the option to go all the way to the very top. So that just gives them 4 hanging options.
Yep.
If that makes sense. I'm hoping it does. Okay. So we're going around the outside. We're adding these in.
Oh, thank you, Eileen.
So some people have wreath hangers. They have really nice, elaborate, really super pretty ones. We just have like screw on the door. That's about as elaborate as ours have gotten, just because it's easier. Because I hang some pretty heavy wreaths up there.
Jean, so I did. I zoomed in a bit. So you should be able to see it a little bit better.
What is she looking for?
She said to zoom in on the ribbon options if you do.
Oh, okay, I'll show you. Because you're kind of not seeing. That's another thing too, the private group, we do the camera right here. So you
Sometimes.
see what I see.
Different views, yeah.
It depends on what we're doing.
Oh, Kimberly said, yeah, makes sense now, thank you.
Okay. So this one, so all I'm doing is I find middle. So I fold it in half to kind of help, and then I just pinch it like this, so I have a pinch. And then I'm actually laying them.
I had it zoomed in so they didn't see the pinch.
Oh, so kind of doing it over here. Let's see. Ooh.
Yes, Rebecca, all the ribbon she's using is wired.
Yeah, some just doesn't seem like it is. So like this, and then this is going directly in to my pipe cleaner. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, directly in, and then I wire it. Just twist it a couple times, and then you're gonna grab your ribbon and pull them out. That's all I'm doing.
Like an A shape or a backwards V. Yep.
Yeah. I think this one's too long. Might have to cut this one down. Let me just grab one here. Oh wait, I have one. Nope, I think this one's still the same. Yep, these are meant for something different. Wait a second.
No, because you're doing those on the...
No, I'm looking at the colors, hold on. So, yellow, that, it should be green.
I think that's the plaid, right?
Yeah, I want to put a plaid here, even though I have a plaid here. Let me just do this one. So, 15 to 13 right here. And then we will dovetail both sides. Just like so. I do shortcuts. You'll develop shortcuts for doing your cutting both ends at the same time. Like I have never to this day used, like some people use those ribbon things where you wrap your ribbon around when you're going to cut a whole bunch. I cut all mine individual. I make sure they're all 14 instead of going around the ruler thing and then cutting the ends. I don't do that. Okay. So, yes, all my ribbon is wired because it all needs some life, especially when a customer goes and they store it and they put it, depending upon how they store it, they may put it in a bag and throw it in the closet. This way they can hopefully bring it back to life by pulling their ribbon pieces out. So now let's look at where we want to add some pops of floral. Because I had these already pre-cut. I was pre-cutting some of these and playing with them. So I'm just looking for just the bare minimum. So let me add.
So your base ribbon you're putting around the outside, that's 13 inches?
Yeah, what's acting as tails is 13.
Yep.
And then I have some that I've cut to 16. And now I'm going to come back in and kind of make the little half bows for these. So let me do these. 3, 5. And these are going right on top of my existing pipe cleaners. So I'll kind of show you what I did. Because these were in my mock-up and I was like, oh, that looks really pretty. So I just used 1.5 inch instead of the 2.5 inch. So then we're kind of creating these little half tails. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually come in and we're going to add a little bit of the lily to the bottom to kind of bring that floral down into the wreath. So that's kind of where we're going. So now I need to come back in, and on these opposite colors is where we're going to come back in and we're going to pop. Like if it's yellow, we're going to come back in, making sure I've grabbed the right one. Oops, that's a 13. And this one I didn't cut the other side. So I'm just going to make, this one will be challenging because it's so thick. I would never use this to do a floral pin on for a tulip. Oh my word. I would just be like, I'm ready to quit. Let's see, I want to do yellow there. So I'm gonna put this striped on top of my plaid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I give it about 5 twists on my pipe cleaner. I snip the rest off. I tuck what little piece I have behind the loop, and then you're going to need to kind of play with your loops and bring them back out, but you kind of have these little pieces. So let me see if I can show you how to do one. I'm just making sure I'm grabbing the ones that are cut. So like this one, once you dovetail cut them, fold them in half, and then bring them up to where you have about 2 inches from like where your finger is to the top part. If you're not sure, just kind of do this. It's about 2 inches. You smush them together, and then you're going to put it right in
on top of
your
other tail. Same pipe cleaner.
And you're going to spin 2, 3, 4, 5. Come in. You'll cut it off. I'm like, so far I've made 100% of my baskets, and then we're just going to flip them so that we kind of have these to the outside.
So the half loads on this one are 16 inches, and the regular tails are 13 inches.
Yes. I need the one with the polka dots. So it doesn't matter, because I'm like, well, if I put polka dots here, there's polka dots here, but I'm like, there's plaid here, so it doesn't really matter. So we'll kind of go, it needs to be this one, because I'm like, plaid, yellow, green, polka dot. So we're keeping the same colors to the same ones. So this is nice. We'll have polka dot on top of stripe. And then we can add some of those floral dimensions and kind of tuck them in all the way around the wreath, all the way around the sign. Kind of just make it feel like spring. And then now we're going to grab this one and go right here. You could opt to do flex tubing. You could do a white, green, and yellow flex tubing. You could mix the colors. You could do a single color. You could just add florals right on top of that. I found though that it felt like it needed something else. Because what I'm going to do is take the stem and put the stem right through the Deco mesh with the glue on it, and then it will should create a really good base. So on plaid, we're doing this. And look, it's already done for me. That's what my mock-up did. I had a whole bunch of pieces left from that. Okay. So this just kind of creates nice bows. There's, like I said, there's so many different options of what you could do. You can do a double bow. Like, this one's way too small for that, but a double bow would be like you make your half bow and you make another half bow and you kind of put them together. So you can either do them, I'm trying to do it to where you can see it. You can do them to where they're mix and match colors. You can do same colors, like do plaid with dots. Sometimes I just like mixing them up to where, these are too short. You have a yellow and a green. It just looks interesting. So 16, and we're gonna double this. So we're going to cut the top and the bottom at the same time. So I just fold them the exact same way. And then I have my ones done. Okay, we're doing green. Let me grab the wrong color. but it's okay because I need that color. So these are those. Do I cut? What if I choose not to use ribbon? What if I choose to do double bows? So sometimes, because I don't have the design process done until we're creating it live, I kind of hold off on any last minute changes. And that's why it's good to keep all your supplies out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And because I know that I'm done with these, I cut the pipe cleaners off. If you're still in the developmental stage where you're like, I'm not really sure I'm gonna like that look, leave them on till the very end, because then you can always change out the colors. You can take them out. You can choose to do a double bow on it. I think this one was too small. Yep. Okay. How many more are over there that I have yet to fill?
1, 2,
that you can see.
3 that I can see over here.
Okay. So this one I can't double up on because it's so thick. So in order to ensure that I have a good, even cut, I don't shortcut it because the wire's so thick. And I take my time and I do under the bows. Some people don't do them and say, well, no one's gonna see under there anyway. I do.
Yep. Any other questions? There's 2 gals that seem like they're trying to kind of hook up because they live in New Jersey.
Oh, very good.
Shirley and Debbie.
Good for you guys.
Hopefully they can.
Yeah, send pictures.
It's
Just
not
post
that
them on the
big a state.
major page. I love it when, I mean, I've gotten to meet 3 or 4 people from our private group, but they're all local. Well, except for Vi. Vi came down on a, she's from Canada.
Vacation, yeah.
Yeah, she came down here on a vacation and made a slight detour. This one. Okay. Yeah, I think there's 3 on that side. And then we can start gluing our flowers. 2, 3. Trying to like gauge what colors. So many yellows and greens. I'm like, do I do a dot? Does it get a green stripe? There we go. It's like the loop didn't want to fluff. Okay, we've got this. I'm like looking at this one goes on a green stripe. Okay, flipping, green stripe, and then we have, so this goes there. Then we have another one of these, and then the green stripe gets yellow polka dots. So I'm going to cut these last 3, so then we're all good. And one more. 16. And then we'll dovetail these. Dovetail this one. And then green has to go by itself because it is just so thick. This has got to be the thickest ribbon besides burlap that we've done. Green. Green. Right under the bow to the edge. doing.
Trixie said, I knew those colors were going to look great together. Prayers.
Oh, thank you.
We still gotta put that florals in.
Yeah. But okay. I'm like looking at this one. This goes there. And I think we have yellow polka dot. 1, 2. And last one. And the florals will go easy. It's just a matter of cutting them and inserting them in wherever, whatever colors you like. Obviously, I would probably put yellow tulips next to ones that are more green, just to kind of complement and pop those colors a little bit more. Here's that finished edge piece. Okay. So now we will go back in and take all these little pieces, move this so you don't glue these in with anything else. There's a pin. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and add, show you how to do this. If you have a silicone pad and you don't have a glue skillet, I didn't bring my glue skillet out, and you want to kind of keep your stem when you're going to push it through your Deco mesh, what is that, about 1 inch. I just take my glue gun and run a bead of glue, and I use Gorilla Glue. It just works so much better. It lasts so much longer, and I'm just going to kind of tuck that in right through the Deco mesh. The Deco mesh will kind of create a little net for it. It depends on your preference. You could kind of alternate between, these are my tulips left over, and I try to make sure they're, this is like an extra something. Let's do 1 inch on this and see if we like the way the tulip looks. It might not work. I think it's because the tulip, let's look at this. I don't like it by itself. I'm trying to find a way to shorten it a little bit, because it has such a big stem. Let's try. Let's cut this down so it's not quite so long, and then we can push everybody up and we can shorten it. We're making our own florals, didn't you know that? Mm-hmm. Which I think will look better. So we'll add some tulips to the outside. We can put this guy back on. We'll just position him back on. I'm still going to trim this down a little bit more. And that turned out good.
And she's just gluing those right down into the Deco mesh because it acts as like a really good netting.
Net, yeah. And so I'll keep going around and I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna go another lily and then separate that between the tulips. Like I'll go tulip, lily, tulip, lily. So I'm trying to keep my petals all forward. And then we'll go through and add some more tulips because they needed some surgery because the top tips were a tad too long. I'll just do this to make sure it won't come off because we kind of shortened it. There we go.
Get all the glue off of it.
Yeah, I will. I need to cut these down. Take that. More glue. And we're going to add this. It just goes right into, like, has your Deco mesh, has those little grooves, you just go right through your Deco mesh. And then it's just going to create a nice way to adhere that in. So we're going to do lily. Another lily. And I have ones that have buds and ones that don't. The florals came from the tulips, Michael's, because I'm sure you guys have all probably bought your tulips for your tulip wreaths. So I'm just going around, adding some more pops. Sometimes you have to do surgery if you want more stuff. You can pull your leaves off and make them however you want them to be. Like this was just way too thick. And this one stem that I pulled just didn't have a leaf on it, so you can grab it from another one and put the leaf on and push everything up. Feathers. And now we'll glue. Okay. Trying to. Okay, there we go. Trying to help it find its permanent home. It's like getting stuck on Deco mesh that's folded. Like, not there, I don't want to go there. Put another lily in there. So what questions? Do you guys have any questions? Do you like the design so far?
No, we didn't post any questions in a while.
Okay, you guys are awful quiet. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to put some yellow ones because I have a green ribbon back here. So I'm going to do the same thing because I just put my lily there. So I'll make sure we cut this. We're going to put that back on. Because we have no green leaves, we will find an available donor with one of our others. And you can just deconstruct your tulips and make them look however you want them to look.
Kathy Tanawa said it's beautiful. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome. Ooh. So now we're adding some pops of yellow tulips. You could actually do yellow and green if you wanted to get really crazy creative.
She said, love the floral and the wreath. Deb said, very pretty.
I think it ties
Eileen said, love the design.
I think it ties the sign to the wreath.
Yeah.
By adding those little pops of floral, you are kind of tying it all together. Okay, we'll add some more yellow tulips. So we've got to deconstruct our top because our top's too big. And I'm just doing this so that it doesn't pop off. I'm going to push everything else up. because we cut it down so short.
Kathleen said, Kat, you work so neatly, I make a mess when designing.
Oh no, this is...
She keeps her trash can right by her, so.
Yeah, I've tried to realize that if you clean up as you go, there's less mess to clean up at the very end. So that's what I'm doing.
Sandra said it's stunning.
Like these. Like all the little pieces of your stems, obviously, you don't need those. One more lily. And we're almost done. I have like 2 more flower placements. And then we're done. Okay, last one. We need green. So our last, not the last green. These were sitting on my desk. I actually had my tulips left over from last year. So I turned them into a spring bouquet.
Anya said, I'm loving the colors. It makes you want to smile all day long.
Right? It does look very festive and fun and soft. And a reminder that spring comes. Spring always comes. And I like the touches of the green wispy pieces. Let's see. I think for me, looking for a bigger one. This. Tight. Can you grab in the bag that's right there with my tulips? Can you grab the green ones? They're like in the bag right on the top. Those are all the ones I dissected.
Sherry asked, where did you get the pad under your glue gun?
Walmart.
What's that, Allie?
This?
Oh, no, it's
this? The little silicone thing?
Yeah.
Amazon. They come in a pack like this. They're like little non-stick pads, so you get 3 of them for like $6. So they're just a little silicone pads, so like when I'm done, I'll take all the glue that has dripped and just pick it up and throw that all back in my glue skillet. It's in the box. No, not that. The actual, no, the light green tulips that are in the guest bedroom, in the plastic bag. Those ones right there, because I want to grab some green ones. I'm just trying to make something for the edge of my sign. And I'm all out of, do you see them? In the bag? Yep.
We need green?
Green, yeah. Just the green ones. Thank you.
How many more?
Yeah. Probably something like that. Let me, do I want to do them like this? That would be really pretty. Trying to make my own little floral bunch. So this might involve some zip ties. Ooh. Those are not zip ties. So baby zip ties. That way it'll hold the bunch together. Just like so. This is how you can make little mini florals. Like this. You make your own little bunch.
Thank you, Patty. She said, just gorgeous cat. Feel better, Steve. Jody said, very cheerful wreath. Love it.
One more. I'm just making my own little bunch. My own little floral thing. So, yeah, what you do when you run out. And then I'm gonna flatten those a little bit more, but let me get these all in and glued together. Push this up. We are going to borrow from this one. Make sure there's no glue. We will take our them, this is what I do when I like deconstruct all my florals and put, if they don't come with the pieces I like, I will make my own. To where we have our own little florals and our lily and this one. So baby zip tie.
Where are you gonna put that one?
On the other side of my sign. So I have one on each side. It's like the bow becomes one and then the floral bouquets on either side are the 2 and 3. If that makes sense. So, let me look. I kind of want the lily turned around. So I'm trying to pull this up. Like so.
You've already glued it in?
No, I poked it in, not glued it in. I just wanted to make sure I was happy with where they were going to go. And make sure that I like placement. Yeah, I think those ones will work. Now I can glue them. So the nice thing is because everything is all glued together, glue stick. So we're just gonna create this and make sure this all stays. So I wanna kind of bring the short ones to the front, put the long ones to the back. And then we're gonna do the same here. So this is why that glue mat is helpful, is because I don't have to worry if it drips. It'll go right on the glue mat. And then I'll show you what it was that I saw. And I think I am finished once and for all. I know, right? Hard to believe. With one left over. Okay. Let me show you. I feel like there's a pin. What do you guys think?
Yeah, beautiful.
You like
That
it?
one striped green tail is probably a little bit too long.
Oh, you just need to move it up.
Gotcha. Okay.
You like?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hang it on the door. That way you can see. See, ours is just one big screw. So it just makes it really easy to put everything on. It's also great to have a prop door because your prop doors allows you to take some amazing photos. Like right now when it's still dark outside.
Maybe push the bow up just a touch. I don't know. There you go.
There's that one. There we go. Let me do this. Our bow and our tail just got too close together. So I'm moving those up and out. Need them to feather down and not stick straight up. There we go. Will it cooperate? Yes. Finally. What do you guys think? Does it look okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have like, see a couple of glue threads. Why does that feel like it was in the way? Was there a glare?
There's a glare. Yeah.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
I see a big glare now, probably just from that one. What do
Yeah,
you guys
but from
think?
the camera angle now you can't see it.
Oh, okay. But that's our spring. Welcome. You could do it for a shower. You could do it for a baby shower, a bridal shower, a birthday, Mother's Day, Easter. It can literally go up from the time that Valentine's Day ends and let it stay up until summer or 4th of July, whenever you change your wreath decor out. Do you guys have any questions at all? At all?
I just said this is so gorgeous. I love all the colors. Turned out amazing. Thank you so much for your valuable time and a million talents that you continue to share with all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Audrey. Everybody's saying gorgeous, pretty. I don't see any other questions.
Okay, perfect. So private group, I will see you Sunday at 5. We're going to go over wreath frame types, wreath frame, everything. Anything to do with a wreath frame, how to create one, how to wire together one using an actual work frame wreath. And then on Monday for our business class, we're gonna cover what we didn't cover this last Monday because we were talking about how to fix the shipping issue. So we will be doing Facebook part 3, and then I think by then you should have your Facebook page pretty much up and going, and then we can move on to opening your Etsy shop.
And for all the new gals that just joined today or were looking into the video, don't forget to turn on notifications.
Oh yeah.
And follow her.
Yes, make sure you click like and follow, and then that way you're notified when we go live. And so in our public group, it's always every Friday at 5. And then our private group is Sunday and Monday at 5. Yep. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yep. Okay, everyone. Well, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.